look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking Time for Hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to Time for Hemp at timeforhemp.com, on your Google Plus app, on your iTunes app, on your iHeart app, on your Tumblr or your SoundCloud apps, or your Spreaker app, or who knows how you're listening to this. There's a whole bunch of other ways that you can check out the program as well, and enjoy us on your smart devices and share us with your friends. It is Thursday, and on Thursday we like to put a spotlight on what's going on here in America with some of the hardworking activists coast to coast. And as often as I can, I do so with my joint host, Paul Stanford, though sometimes Paul is traveling overseas. He is here today. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Casper. How are you today?
Man, I tell you, living here in Portland, Oregon gets better and better every day, and it was awesome when I first moved here. I'll tell you, huh?
Yep. The laws are changing. We got full legalization, and everybody can grow their own now, and pretty soon, starting on October 1st, we will have untaxed cannabis available for all adults over the age of 21. So, that's a good thing.
And I thought I saw on the news last night that some of the medical marijuana dispensaries are currently selling recreational marijuana. Is that right?
Well, if you saw it on the news, I guess so. You know, I grow my own, so I never go into those dispensaries, but that wouldn't surprise me.
I was thinking I saw the governor on the TV last night saying that it was time to move forward with it and get it going now, and then I thought I saw somebody talking about how they were selling it from their dispensary on Coin News last night. So maybe we should double check that. But you're right. We got some great changes in our state here, and much of that has to do with all the hard work and efforts between you and your amazing team of people.
Yep, we've been working at it a long time, and finally starting to see the changes.
And these changes are going to be trend setting for the whole nation, we hope, huh?
The whole world is watching. There's no doubt about that.
Well, and they are listening to, and today on the program they have someone to listen to from Colorado. There's been big changes out there. Our joint guest today is Ray Lakers. Good morning, Ray.
Morning, Casper.
And
thanks for having me on Time for Hemp.
And you got some real big changes going on and happening there in Colorado too, don't you?
Well, constantly. It's a circle of changes, and regulations, how they want to deal with it, and things like that. So,
well, we'll talk here in a little bit about how the change in law has had an impact on so many different levels there in the state. But a lot of our audience members might not be aware of your background. It's been a while since you've been a guest on the show. So this gives you an opportunity to tell people how it is that, first of all, you got active in the marijuana movement.
Right. And as I was discussing with you, it was a little over, it was August 2nd, 10 years ago. I was arrested for a gram of marijuana back in Des Moines, Iowa. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2004, and at that point, I didn't want to, start taking a bunch of prescription medication that would get me addicted because, I'll be honest, I have previous substance abuse issues that I've, completely walked away from, when that happened with the MS diagnosis, and I didn't want to start taking prescription medications and opiates and things like that, and I started learning that MS patients, and Montel Williams was the most public at the time, back in 2004. My friends were like, well, Montel, he uses marijuana for MS. And then I started learning more and more about the law, and just as I'm learning more and more about the law and on my body and how it reacts to just me using cannabis and the MS and things like that, I get arrested, for a gram of marijuana, and I was like, okay. And so it was like time to fight for all the patients now, because it's just wrong, and then it became a fight for everybody, because no adult should go to jail for marijuana. And I'm somebody that, to be honest with you, Casper, I probably maybe opened up to you about it before, but, I've been in sales and collections with marijuana since I was 15 years old. And when you're 37 and you get diagnosed with MS, and that's your medicine, and a year later, you get arrested for a gram, and you're like, well, what's going on here?
Well, I like the way you put it. You've been involved in sales and collections with marijuana for a long time. That makes it sound to me like a legitimate business.
Well, as I tell people, my last name's Lakers, and I was born a champion. I'll bring you championship service.
Paul,
so as far as that goes, so I just became a lobbyist, and I worked with a lot of contacts I had. People I grew up with are now lawmakers and on city council and things like that back in Iowa. And it's like I'm trying to get people to step up, and I got there's a lot of hashtag hypocrites, is what I call them.
Hashtag hypocrites.
The people that maybe you helped them out in the past and things like that, and then they don't want to help you now that they're in that position, and it's kind of frustrating. But hopefully some changes on a national scale. I'd like to move back to Iowa. I have a house back there I'm making payments on every month.
There you go. Now, Paul, you got a question?
Well, let me see. What are you doing nowadays, Ray?
Well, right now, my previous experiences in customer service, working in a call center, sales over the phone, things like that. I worked for nearly 8 years for Wells Fargo. I did 7 years real estate collections back in Iowa. It was really hard working for Wells Fargo and then flying under the radar, going to be on the news for medical marijuana and things like that, and you come into work the next day and people are giving you a thumbs up and want to talk about it, and it's like, no, we'll have to talk about that outside, because this is a drug-free environment. You know about Wells Fargo, they rake people over the coals over marijuana and things like that, and all kinds of things. So I just really flew under the radar for a long time. So when I moved out here to Colorado, I actually got a job with home equity. I was closing home equity sales lines of credit in California with my region. So let's just say there's a lack of due diligence in this business. Customers put things on an application. Banker tells them one thing. The underwriter gets the application. I call the person, congratulate them, you got them approved. But then I'm going to need some documentation to back whatever you told the banker. You want the interest rate at this? Okay, well, the banker told you that. So there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of hand-holding. It could be a couple months, but, there was nothing like closing a $500,000 line of credit when you call somebody and say, hey, we're ready to sign the deal. When can you be at the bank? That was a good feeling. So in the end, let's just say things didn't work out for me in that position. I'm still eligible for rehire with Wells Fargo, but, I don't want to move back to Iowa, and I really don't want to go back to that environment. So I did what most people would do as a Colorado resident that have a knowledge with marijuana, is I got a badge so I could work in a licensed marijuana facility. Now, here in Colorado Springs, there's only medical marijuana stores. And so, a store might only have, 8 or 9 people or 6 people, staffed to it or whatever. So it's kind of, hard to work your way into there. So in Manitou Springs, they have recreational marijuana. So the first store that opened was Maggie's Farm, and the second store that was opened April 1st of this year was called Emerald Fields. And I interviewed with them in February. I blew them away on the interview. I felt, 100% confident, that, they're going to, so they hired me. And I accepted the job at 26 hours. And that was just so I could get a job, And so they weren't going to be open for 5 weeks. So I waited 5 weeks for training, did 2 weeks training, worked 4 weeks on the floor. Easter Sunday, girl I work with, coworker, calls me up. She was scheduled earlier that day. She calls me up and she says, well, it was nice meeting you, nice working with you. I just got fired. I was like, for what reason? Oh, they said I didn't fit in. I was like, So she was, I'm 48, okay? I'm still active. I haven't multiple sclerosis, but, I work with a smile on my face, and I have a ton of knowledge about marijuana, So it's like, so I go in Easter Sunday. My shift was at 3:30. I don't know if you remember Deacon Casper from our times back in Iowa, but he was my partner there with on Carl's show and Carl's Canvas Corner and all of that.
I do
Green
remember.
Central Station, the Deacon.
I do remember.
So the Deacon takes me out there on Easter Sunday after the girl already, texted me and told me that she got fired and the reasons, and then I go out there and then wait for my shift, and Jim calls me back and he's like, well, we didn't. I was like, made a decision. I guess I didn't fit in. My drawer was never short. I always had a smile on my face. It was just, they overhired. They hired 22 people to work this $1 million operation. So, they didn't need a staff. It wasn't that busy. So, I don't know. I'm an eligible candidate, and that's kind of I wanted to put that out there. There's, I'm really looking to get a job in the industry in some capacity.
Well, now hasn't the laws that have been put in place created a lot of new industry there?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to find a place in any form of the business, but to work for a licensed facility where you're actually handling the marijuana or trimming it or packaging it, you have to have the state badge. It's a MED badge, medical marijuana enforcement division badge. So,
and how?
I'm still optimistic. I'm optimistic, and kind of just holding out for the minute.
And how difficult is it? How difficult is it to get one of those badges?
Oh no, you got to have no felonies within the last 5 years, and it depends on the felonies too. You got to have your taxes all in order. You got to be a Colorado resident. It was $75 for 2 years that I had the badge.
So, and you got to have.
So I'm still networking with people. I'm still staying active, and I'm have my name out there with some people that hopefully they're gonna get me some work. And so if I was in Denver, there's a lot more work because there's recreational marijuana in Denver and in Boulder. And in Pueblo, which is 40 miles south of here. And see, I'm on public transportation, so, I got to go where the bus takes me.
Now, I heard you say that you got to have your taxes in order to get a badge. I've never heard of.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, they want to see your last 2. They want to see your last 2 years' tax returns.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that when getting a job of any kind, whether it be.
That's just to get the badge. That's just to get the NED badge.
Well, what's the purpose? What's the purpose of that? I mean, why do they need to see that on your taxes? I mean, if you go to work for the state to be a driver for the lay the salt down on the highway, or if you go to work for the state or the even federal government to hand out claims or paperwork, they don't usually require that. Why do they require that for the marijuana field?
I don't know. It's just a requirement. And another requirement is too, you got to make sure all your fines or unpaid tickets and things like that are paid. So
that's pretty wild. Isn't that weird, Paul? Paul, isn't that kind of like weird?
I should email you the information about that and just put it on your page, on the Time Frame page.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Paul, is there anything like that in the state of Oregon?
Not yet. It's just beginning to get implemented. So Colorado has a little lead. So Ray, you're in Colorado Springs, the home of the Air Force Academy. You want to tell us about the interactions of the Air Force Academy with the city of Colorado Springs? I understand they have actually threatened to move out of there because of illegal marijuana. At least they did a few years back.
Yeah, there was that talk, that's why the city council and some of the, far-right people that live down here in Colorado Springs, they would always use that as an excuse to where we'll lose these military bases, the Air Force base, the Army bases. It's just not going to happen. They got too much. The government got a lot invested in the bases down here in Colorado. NORAD here, the Air Force bases, it's an awesome facility. Why would they leave that? I mean, it's I don't know. People get delusional about it. It's fear of the unknown, I guess we could say. So, no, I haven't heard anything further talking about the Air Force Base moving out of Colorado Springs as far as that goes. There's just, people are always saying, well, we don't want to risk losing these, entities that provide so much to the community and things like that.
Well, maybe that was just when the law was first being implemented or something. I don't know.
Yeah. There was that talk. There was that chatter. But, we got this John Suthers is now the mayor of Colorado Springs or whatever. He used to be like a prosecutor or something like that, state prosecutor or something. But he's not. He wants to put a regulation. There's a lot of that's the one thing that differentiates Colorado Springs from Denver is we do have a lot of social marijuana clubs here in Colorado Springs. So it's kind of a good thing for me because I enjoy the company and going around people where there's not alcohol and we're all like-minded and none of you never see any of the problems that you see at bars ever. So it's a good experience. Casper was asking me, firsthand changes since the law has been made on business, crime, and things like that. And, I would have to say the biggest benefit, is access to my medicine. The drawback, is, I do need to land a job because, my life savings only going to last so long. And the thing is, as far as the law, is the police departments, they can focus on more important things, because I had a situation with the police officer myself over how I was crossing the street, not in the crosswalk, just like between the median or whatever. And all of a sudden I got on the other side of the bus stop and this cherry, boop, boop, and I turned to the right and it's like, oh, cop's like, do I take your hands out of your pockets and this and that? What do you got in your pockets? I was like, what did I say? No needles or knives or something like that. I said something like that. And I said, but I do got some marijuana, but I know it's legal for me to have it. And then he started running my name and all of that stuff and telling me, not to jaywalk and things like that because people be getting hit. And I said, well, I appreciate that and everything. And so then he goes, you like smoking weed, don't you? I was like, well, I like police that won't take me to jail for the weed in my pocket. And then he goes, who said anything about jail? And I said, I'll make sure and use the crosswalk from now on, officer. Thank you.
Yeah,
so, I got patted down, pulled over jaywalking, and had possession of marijuana. And got to put it back in my pocket. That was a pretty good feeling.
Yes, you have to be careful how you answer the police on any question at any time. That's true. And we're going to take we're going to take a commercial break and pay our bills, and then we're going to listen to a song about how fantastic marijuana is, and then we're going to come back and pick up where we left off here at Time for Hemp. Listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. please share us with your friends.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
My sweetheart drove, my sweetheart drove. Why did you go? Now I'm all alone, my sweetheart drove. Oh, I still love you, dear, but now you've gone away. How I wished I had you here, smell your sweet bouquet. Well, some men fall for women, and some men, they're like wine. But I'm only half the man, unless I'm getting high. My sweetheart drove, my sweetheart drove. If I only had a bow, I wouldn't be so alone, my sweetheart drove. Now you're soft and mellow, the scent is so divine, and I just want you to know that I'd smoke you all the time, my sweetheart rose, my sweetheart rose. wouldn't be so alone, my sweetheart rose.
Yeah, baby, my sweet hydro. I'll tell you, I am a lover of sweet hydro. And you are listening to Time for Hemp all around the world on a variety of devices, whether it be your smartphone or your tablets or, good golly, Miss Molly, there's a variety of really groovy electronic devices that people have now that broadcast music and entertainment. So just make it a point to go to timeforhemp.com. We're soon to launch into the Roku network. In another couple of weeks, our videos will be available for free in the Roku store. Many of our hosts do video programming. I know my joint host, Paul Stanford, has been doing video programming for 16 or 17 years. Haven't you, Paul?
Hey, it'll be 19 years in October.
Wow, my God, time flies, Paul. And I have been lucky enough to be part of your family for about 4 years now as the joint host. And it airs every Friday night on Ustream. Is it Ustream or Ustream-it?
It's Ustream.tv. Just the letter U, STREAM.tv. It's live. Every Friday night we have a pre-recorded show tonight or tomorrow. And then next week, we're all going to be up in Seattle at the largest United States marijuana protestival, they like to call it.
Protestival.
The Hemp Fest. Hempfest.org is the website to find out more. And we'll be up there doing our thing. And I know you'll be interviewing people. We'll be speaking several. It's like a 5-stage event, so it's a huge thing going on up there.
Yeah, the Seattle Hemp Fest is a mile long, isn't it?
It's almost a mile and a half.
Mile and a half. That is a heck of a hike, too, I tell you, on a hot day.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt about that.
And about a couple 100,000 people show up each day at that little event, don't they?
Yeah. It's the largest pro-marijuana event in the United States. If you haven't been to one, you should go. It's very inspirational. About 400 vendors, 5 stages, and a symposium tent. A couple other things going on in that mile and almost mile and a half long park on the Seattle waterfront, right below the Space Needle. So it's pretty nifty.
It is, and the bands, every time I've been to the event, have been stellar, and the speakers have been amazingly informative, and the crowds have just been mellow and fun, and I can't think of a negative. And you know, sometimes you'll go to an event, even a couple years in a row, and there'll be a couple of fights or some kind of arguments or bad parking problems or problems with the traffic. And it seems like the city police have got the venue down nice where everybody can get in and get out and have a good time.
Yep, I think so. It's a lot of fun, and it starts next week, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, right there on the Seattle waterfront.
Well, this show is pre-recorded, and by the time our audience hears this, it will have been last week or a couple of weeks ago on the 13th, 14th, and 15th. And
well, in that regard, they can check out hempstock.org, and see what's going on with our event in Portland.
That'll be the second largest event in the United States, correct?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but it's a big one. There's no doubt. The biggest one in Oregon.
And we'll talk more about that next week so we can promote it on the big broadcast here at Time for Hemp. Is that cool?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Then we'll bring on some guests next week so people who are listening now can make it a point to tune in and learn more about the upcoming hemp stock in Portland, Oregon. We do have a joint member of our joint family here on the Big Joint broadcast, Ray Lakers. Don't forget, anytime you hear the word joint on the Big Joint broadcast, you should fire up your bong, your pipes, your vaporizers, fire up your joint, and take a hit and take time for hemp. A lot of people like that, Paul, as a game. I don't know if you remember the Bob Newhart show. They used to have the Bob drinking game where every time you heard Bob on the Bob Newhart show, you'd have a shot of your liquor or a shot of your beer.
I don't think I've heard of that, but all right.
And, well, the Bob Newhart's like about 100 years ago, too, so, I'm sure they're doing it.
I remember it. I think I was a little too young to drink when that was on the air.
Well, that's what people do now when they hear the word joint on the Big Joint broadcast. They hit their joints, their pipes, their vaporizers. It's a good time to have a nice joint. And I can tell you that our joint guest today knows a lot firsthand about what's going on in Colorado. One thing I haven't heard about for a while was that you had a state or two that was filing a lawsuit against the citizens of Colorado.
Right. And I did a little research trying to see what was going on with that, and there just hasn't been any movement as far as that goes, with that lawsuit. It seems to be, regressing. Nobody's going forward or anything with it. It's hard to tell. I mean, nobody really thinks it's going to go anywhere, so we'll see what happens. I mean, now that we got these other two states coming on board, we're going to have 4 states. I mean, so I just, like everybody wished that Obama would just, strike the pen and make an executive decision and get things right and let these ganja prisoners out of prison. And that's kind of what's frustrating me is that, talk about all this, letting the nonviolent people out of prison, and then we got all these people that are getting shot by cops just because they got pot in their possession, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that is one thing Paul and I talk about frequently on the Cannabis Common Sense show is, for those listening, when we had World War I, II, Korea War, Vietnam War over, our prisoners of war got to go home. Our boys that were captured got to go home. Our men and women that served in the militaries were released and finally got to go home. For the men and women that were taken and are currently being held captive as POWs in this war, when this war is over, the only way they're going to be able to get home right now is to hire lawyers and cross their fingers and see what they can do. Right, Paul?
Yeah, it's a lot of the people need to be let out of prison. Hopefully that will start happening. Some people are in there for life without the possibility of parole. So there's a lot of changes that need to happen. They're still happening.
And it's just a mess out there. So this is going to be one of the hardest wars to end and one of the hardest wars to clean up, right?
Now, did you catch that the other day when the new DEA guy, he said he wasn't sure if marijuana or heroin, or he knew that marijuana wasn't as dangerous as heroin, but now he's coming back and saying, it's definitely heroin's more dangerous than marijuana.
That's funny. You should say that. I have the headlines right in front of me. I was going to mention it because Paul and I talked about that a couple of times on the Cannabis Common Sense, that he thought marijuana might be not as dangerous as heroin, but golly, he was not a research scientist or a specialist. And now the new head of the DEA administration on Wednesday finally acknowledged that what his predecessor could not. And he admitted that heroin is clearly more dangerous than marijuana. Chuck Rosenberg's comments, reported by the Huffington Post, Matt Ferner, came a week after Rosenberg stated.
And when I hear things like that, it really infuriates me, because if you caught the email when I emailed you back, I lost my son, age 23, May 21st, 2014, to a heroin overdose. So, it's just wrong. You know, he was a victim of the drug war himself. You know, so
and it's
he's not here. He's not here to tell you that heroin's more dangerous than marijuana because it killed him. You know, so I don't mean to bring you down and bring everybody down, but that's where I'm at, and that's where I've been this last year ever since he died. And I walked back when I came home.
No, so. It can't be easy. They say that the death of a child is the most difficult death for any human to deal with, and especially after they've grown full and you've had 23 years of knowing them. I mean, it's difficult even if they're 23, they're 23
and
hours.
Not taking any advice I would give him. You know, I've never been an intravenous drug user, and I've never used heroin, and it's never been a part of my life. But, you know, how do you tell somebody not to do it when they continually, you know, don't want to listen, you know? Just another tragedy, you know, they're a victim of the drug war, you know, as much as, you know.
Which,
so Ray, I noticed you have a alternate. Are you also Reverend Green?
Yeah, I'm Reverend Green. Yeah, on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Reverend Green. My Facebook page.
Tell us about your work as Reverend Green.
Well, I'm a marijuana Christian, if you know what I mean. I'm Pastor Reverend Ray Green. That was dropped to me in that. You remember that song by Johnny Reeperstein and the High Rollers Light 'Em Up? You remember that one, Casper?
I play it on the air frequently.
Oh yeah. That's kind of Afro-Man led to my legend when he name tracked me in that song. So I was there at the recording, and he just wrote that in the rap, and it was like, you know. You know, if it were up to me, I'd like to be able to grow marijuana and provide it to patients at no cost, you know, low-income patients and things like that. Right now, pretty much I'm an outreach person for people all the time. It was like, I'm sitting here the other day, I got an somebody that's a gal in Iowa that's getting diagnosed with MS, and she wanted some advice on what to do, and she thought, you know, her life was ending, you know, and things like that at that point, you know, because she's like, I don't know what to do, you know, and this and that. Then I got another friend that he has facing a possible HIPAA violation with an employer because the doctor released some information to the employer, you know, about him having marijuana in his system, but it wasn't even about him having to take a drug test. It was just that was released. So, and then, you know, armchair lawyer and give them legal advice and tell them, you know, things like that. That's about. You know, back in Iowa, you know, I kind of, you know, I'm a lot more public, and I go to all the hearings and things like that, and show up on the news, and people want to talk to me, and you know, people I don't even know will contact me for marijuana, and I kind of got to let them know I can't sell you any, but if you'd like to meet me, I would be more than happy to talk about your situation, and I'll usually bring something with me to make their day a little brighter.
Well, and is it part of your, I mean, as Reverend Ray Green, do you like have a Sunday morning service? Do you preach at
no, not at all. It's more of an online persona I took on as an activist and things like that. You know, I follow Brandon Baker and Green Faith Ministry here in Colorado. It's more, you know, what you can do for your fellow person and live by the golden rule, and, you know,
kind of like what Bill Levine's up to in Indianapolis.
Yeah, a lot like that. But, you know, Reverend Baker's been at it quite a while out here in Colorado. And,
well, we're going to take
he's got the paperwork. I'm not filed as far as that goes, as far as, you know, but, you know, I believe that cannabis is my salvation, you know, for my health, you know, because, and for many people.
For my salvation, we need to pay our bills, so we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come right back here at Time for Hemp.
Listening to the Time for Hemp
Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Well, Western had a bowl, good green reefer, big fat Jones beef, much, much sweeter. Mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, mighty don't hide it. Fire up right now.
Yeah, fire up right now. Be loud, be proud. Come out of the closet and let everybody know that you, too, are a user of social hemp, social marijuana, social cannabis, and it is not any reason to be put behind bars, and what you do behind your closed doors is your business, and people need to get behind that. With that said, we are celebrating the hardworking activists here in the United States on Thursdays with my joint host, Paul Stanford. And Paul, we are having a great joint chat with our joint friend, Ray Lakers, here on the big joint broadcast. And Paul and Ray, I know both of you are pretty excited about the hemp industry. Paul's working diligently to help revive that in Oregon and other spots on the planet. And Ray, I know that you said that there's a hemp industry starting to grow there. Get it? Starting to grow there
definitely.
In Colorado?
Definitely. As I mentioned, there was a school. It's down in Alamosa Valley, southern Colorado. The school was sold for a hemp processing plant for like $500,000 to this Antonio Billy D. Herrera and Antonio Community Center LLC. But they're going to put a hemp processing plant, and that's really going forward. So definitely that'll bring jobs, and definitely.
So I take it there's hemp farming going on in your state now, and there's lawmakers who are excited.
Yeah, the Colorado lawmakers, they're urging support for that, federal medical hemp bill. So that way, they can definitely expand production here as far as being able to provide it, for people in other states too. Once we can drop those walls, I guess. Sorry about that. Idiot came on.
And Paul,
but the one gentleman that kind of I always read about. I've never met him, but Brian Lofton. He's a real leader in the hemp industry. Rocky Mountain Hemp here in Colorado, Springfield, Colorado, I believe. So he's definitely putting it together very well.
And Paul, aren't you putting together a couple of farms around the world?
Yeah, I am. What I'm doing, though, isn't going to grow low-THC hemp. I'm a heretic, so to speak. It's still out, actually, to the 1995 book, 20-year-old book now. Talks about the first hemp companies in America. I'm listed on page 3 and 4 as the first hemp companies in America. And so I've got a long history with this. As Casper knows, the first edition of the Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Herer, I helped research that. Jack actually wrote it in my house. I put the last parts of it together for a couple months in my house way back in 1980. 85, which is 30 years ago. But I'm going to grow high cannabinoid, the highest quality buds and seed them, and quantify the seed production, the fiber production, and the cannabinoid production of some very productive bud plants. And I think the seed production is going to be 20 times higher than the low THC hemp they allow for cultivation for seed currently. So once we remove the artificial barriers imposed by prohibition on the cannabinoid content of hemp, we should be judging hemp seed and hemp fiber production not by THC levels, but by the quality of the seed and the fiber. And so eventually that's what's going to happen. And when it does, we're going to replace a lot of the world's petroleum. We're going to change the whole economic paradigm. Instead of all the money of the world's largest industry, the energy industry, going to a few large capital-intensive corporations, that money instead will flow to the farmers and to our communities and be naturally decentralized. And so that will change the world economic paradigm. So I, of course, have these grandiose thoughts, but I really think it's what we have to do for our environment, for our economy, and to fulfill hemp's rightful role in on our planet.
And we're going to be able to do that in our lifetime, it looks like. It's pretty exciting, to say the least. To be
I'm doing it right now.
Well, I mean, coast to coast, I think, eventually, because like you said, it's going to lead the nation, and people are going to be able to see with their own eyes all the remarkable and positive changes that can happen in a small community, and then in a larger community, and then in a state, and really get a full understanding of the complete impact on the social and economic structure of our environment, right?
Yep, I think so. What do you think, Ray?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. It would make a major economic difference. I mean, as if our economy doesn't need it. It's fueled by gasoline and alcohol, and we need to change that to hemp.
Now, there's a lot of need for hemp plants in Colorado. Where are they being grown, and how are they being grown, and how does it go from seed to bud real fast for our audience? We've only got about 7 or 8 minutes left.
That'd be like in a dispensary situation. There's a lot of indoor grows set up, as far as that goes. Down in Pueblo, there's some outdoor grows. Most of the hemp is being cultivated, it looks, in southern Colorado. More the Animas Valley or Alamos Valley.
All right.
I'm looking at this picture from Ryan Lofton. It says male, and then it looks my apologies if I don't pronounce this phonetically right, but it's Paul, I'm sure knows what I'm trying to say. Monocosis, Monoecious. Says number 1 male, says 2 monocosis, and then 3 female plants. But it's Monoecious.
All right.
I don't know. It doesn't. I figured it might ring a bell with Paul, but he's just showing the 3 different photos of the hemp, and the 3 kinds. So.
But I take it, from what I understand, that they've got to be in front of a camera. Every plant's got to be numbered. Everybody who's involved with this has got to be cleared by the state. That type of thing, right?
Yeah, tagged. Have it all tagged.
Paul, you want to give a shout-out for the upcoming broadcast of the Cannabis Common Sense?
So Cannabis Common Sense can be found online at ustream.tv. That's USTREAM.tv. Just look up Cannabis Common Sense there. Or you can watch hundreds of past shows on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, look up Cannabis Common Sense. Our director, Will Appel, has, I think, about 500 shows there on YouTube. You just look and pick out the latest one or whichever one you want to see. There's a large archive with a variety of guests. So we're live every Friday night at 8 p.m.
And you've got a
Live
fantastic
on East Street.
you got a fantastic website that people need to check out.
That's true. We have our portal at hemp.org. That's HEMP.org. That'll take you to all the different sites out there. And if you want the latest news, just go to hemp.org/news. We're publishing about 50 articles a week on there and sharing them on all over the internet. So thanks, Casper. Thank you, Ray.
And
thank you, Paul.
And you're also got a newspaper that people need to pay attention to as well.
Yeah, Hemp News has been online since 1991, which Wikipedia Encyclopedia recently noted is the oldest online publication still in existence. It predated the web back during the Usenet news group days. But then we have clinics all over America. We've helped thousands of patients. We were pretty much the only statewide Colorado medical marijuana business from 2004 till 2008. We still help patients in Colorado, Washington, Oregon, Hawaii, California, Nevada, Michigan, and we're going up and down the East Coast and into the South now. So find out more at hemp.org.
And Ray, if people want to get caught up to date with you, is there's a URL and anything that you want to put a spotlight on, this is the time for that.
Basically, I'm pretty active on Twitter at Rev Ray Green. I have a Facebook page, Green Mountain Station. You can check that out. I mean, usually if you're a friend of mine or a friend in the marijuana community, I'm going to accept you on the page. So as far as that goes, just doing YouTube videos, things like that. Trying to stay active with the news, basically, constantly. Hopefully the laws get changed in Iowa or nationwide, and then I really would like to move back home. As I mentioned, I'm making a payment on a house. I got a payment on a house and apartment, and it's like, okay, it can only last so long, right? So, but hey, Paul, I want to thank Man Your Cannabis Common Sense is a great show. I remember watching that in the early days when I got into the activism and getting in tune with everybody online, and I really want to thank you for your spotlight that you provided for Benton McKenzie and his family when he was going through that. Rest in peace, Benton.
Yeah, I was proud to be able to help Benton get him some RSO, get him his medical marijuana permit here in Oregon. A lot of people came together to help Benton McKenzie. May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
And God bless his family and friends.
Yeah, and I really want to thank the people of Oregon for helping out a fellow Iowan. So that really means a lot. But yeah, I mean, look for me on the news. Next time, maybe there'll be some popping up in Iowa, and I'll be back there for another hearing, and I'll show up on the news for a quick interview spot, or I'll get some FaceTime somewhere. So, yeah.
All right. Good luck with that.
But hopefully, if I ever make it up to, I got a brother that lives in Oregon. It's been a long time coming for me to travel back up that way. So, I'd like to, travel up and meet you guys in person. So that'd be great too. If you come back down to Colorado for the next, yeah, we definitely need to do it. There's some traveling I need to get done. And so that's for sure.
And I want to remind people that we are not the only broadcasting network that is 24 cannabis all the time, 24-hour day, 7-day a week broadcasting network on iTunes, iHeart, Google Plus, and all over the web. So we're not just an only broadcast anymore. We're not just a lonely little show. We are a team of people working diligently to end prohibition. And like a good joint, we are best when shared with friends.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for him. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides.
Excuse me for a moment while I vent about the mind-boggling stupidity of the autocratic, bureaucratic, right-wing, Neanderthal numbskulls who keep pushing an insane, inane, and inhumane holy war against marijuana, which is, after all, a weed. The most embarrassing thing for these holy warriors is that the weed is winning. They've been at this war since 1937, spending billions and billions of our tax dollars, militarizing our borders, and stomping on our Bill of Rights. They've used phone taps, garbage searches, jackbooted raids, and draconian prison terms to do what? To nab peaceful, mellow tokers who aren't bothering anyone, that's what. Despite 60 years of spending our money, they failed. 85% of Americans say marijuana is easy to obtain today. A third of our population says they've tried it. Nearly 15 million people partake of it at least monthly, and more high school students now smoke marijuana than cigarettes. Meanwhile, the holy warriors have become more fanatical and thuggish. A marijuana arrest is made every 41 seconds in America, 9 out of 10 of them for mere possession. In 2004, 772,000 Americans were arrested on marijuana charges, more than for all violent crimes combined. And 40,000 Americans are in prison today for this victimless crime, more than the entire prison populations of 8 European countries. Even sicker, the sanctimonious weed warriors have made it a crime for thousands of seriously sick people to get the medical benefits of using small amounts of doctor-prescribed marijuana. Weirdly, our doctors can prescribe cocaine for patients, but not marijuana. This is Jim Hightower saying, for information and action to stop this absurd war, call the Marijuana Policy Project, 202-462-5747.
Time for Hemp is an educational tool that can be found in iTunes, on Spreaker, and of course at timeforhemp.com. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. The only broadcasting network dedicated to ending the global war on drugs on iHeartRadio.